Welcome back. I'm Wyatt Goolsby in for Lauren Ashburn. An estimated 400,000 children are living in the country's foster care system. Faith-based organizations have played a critical role in placing children in need with families. But increasingly, these groups have been under attack for their traditional views on marriage and family. 9 states currently allow faith-based agencies to follow their religious or moral beliefs. But Catholic Charities has been driven out of the adoption and foster care business in Massachusetts, Illinois, California, and the District of Columbia. And liberal groups are suing the state of Michigan and the U.S. Conference of Bishops over the issue. Our next guest says forcing these organizations out of the business hurts children. Elizabeth Kirk is a lawyer and consultant who follows adoption law and policy. Elizabeth joined Archbishop Joseph Naumann as keynote speakers on a panel exploring faith-based solutions to foster care needs today in Washington. Elizabeth, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
What solutions do faith-based organizations offer in this sphere, and why is it so important that they fight to stay in business?
Sure. I think it's important to know that faith-based agencies have been contributing to child welfare since the time of our founding. So they're not new, to serving in this way. So I think some of the ways in which they play an exceptional role are that faith-based organizations excel in finding foster parents and adoptive parents. Mm-hmm. They also excel in placing hard-to-place children. So, for example, children with severe medical needs, sibling groups, and things like that. So it's important that they be able to contribute to the child welfare.
Sure, and as I mentioned, they have so many challenges now. And just last month, the city of Philadelphia, for example, suspended partnerships for 2 faith-based agencies, one of them Catholic Social Services, just due to concerns of possible discrimination, what they call discrimination, against same-sex couples. Obviously, as you know, Catholic agencies do not place children with same-sex couples due to church law. So how do you respond when they claim this is discrimination?
What I would say is that these agencies are not seeking any new right. They're not seeking a new right to discriminate. Rather, they're on the defensive. They're trying to protect their right to exist and to continue to serve in the way that they always have done.
And so, obviously, that's not always easy, especially when you get people who feel like they're discriminated against, they challenge and they sue. What do you think is the appropriate response with so many challenges like
Sure.
this?
Well, I think one thing I would remind them is that in every state, as long as you meet the licensure requirements to be a foster care parent or an adoptive parent, you can adopt. So whether you're single, married, gay, or straight, the state serves everybody. And there are many agencies to serve folks of all, of all populations. And what protecting faith-based organizations does is protect that diversity of organizations that are available to serve people of all kinds. And
diversity seems key here.
Yeah.
One other problem when it comes to families in this country is the opioid crisis. That's affecting so many people. How do you think that's affected, the opioid epidemic has affected the foster care system and the whole business with that?
Sure. Well, at today's forum, we were really blessed to have Charmaine Yost, who's with the White House Office of Drug Policy. And she was there to explain to us the dramatic impact that the opioid crisis has had on the foster care system. In some states, for example, in recent years, the number of children coming into foster care has as much as tripled due to substance abuse problems by parents. So there's an incredible impact and relationship between opioid crisis and the foster care crisis.
It's incredible to think how many people it's impacted, how many children, parents, and things like that. You and your husband have adopted 4 children, I should say. Tell me about your family's experience, and how does your faith, your own personal faith, sort of shape your views about adopting children?
Sure. Well, we've adopted 4 children, 3 through private adoption, and the last little guy through foster care. We feel incredibly blessed to be together as a family. I think in terms of my faith, a couple things I would say. One is that we discovered our vocation to adoption and foster care through infertility. And what I think this has helped me to learn is that all marriages are called to be fruitful. So whether or not you struggle with infertility, adoption and foster care is one way to express marital fruitfulness. Another idea is just, we know from the Bible that we are all called to welcome the stranger, to be hospitable. And foster care in particular is a kind of radical way of practicing that kind of biblical hospitality by welcoming a child into your home. And providing comfort and care for them.
Such an important message, and one that you're passing on to the next generation. Elizabeth Kirk, expert in adoption law and policy. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.